Okay, so hi there. This is day two of recording myself, and today we're going to talk about the locomotive classification. So, uh, if you're not familiar with locomotives, so basically, trains, the engine is also called as the locomotive. It pulls the entire carriages or the goods or whatever is behind it. That is what we could call as a locomotive in the most simplest and basic term possible. So, today we're going to talk about Indian locomotives, and what I'm going to try to explain is the naming classification of how they are named. What we can see is that engine with an orange engine, and we can see some lettering on the side. So that lettering that you see on the side is the most important way to know everything about that engine, what it does, what powers it, what job it performs, and the generation, and a lot of different stuff like that. And all of that is vital. Those details on the side are vital. So next time you see a locomotive and you see on the side or in the front, there will be a lettering on it, like 3-4 letters on it, and those will tell you about what that locomotive is, what it does, blah blah blah, everything about it. And well, today I'm here to explain that only. It is very simple and it's very interesting. So quickly I want to explain what it does, what it is, and maybe you know more like I do. I learned something, you also learned something. Maybe obviously, yeah, you will learn something. I'm explaining here. So so we will start with the naming convention. So it typically consists of 3 letters, and the first letter of the classification is for the track section or the track that it runs on. So there are multiple types of tracks. We have the broad gauge, we have the meter gauge, we have the half gauge, we have the multiple gauge. But the most widely used track type, the track is basically what the locomotive runs on. Okay, the track. Okay, so the most widely used is the wide gauge or the broad gauge, and that is around 1.6 millimeters or 5 foot 6 inches. That is the most common track type used in India, and almost majority of trains that you'll see are running on that same track. After that, we have the meter gauge, that is Y. It is depicted with a Y. That is meter gauge. Then after that, we have the narrow gauge, and after that, we have the most narrower gauge. The narrower gauge. Narrow gauge is Z, and the narrower gauge is N. So that is how the track is named. And on a locomotive, the first letter will be the track that it runs on, and the most common one you'll see is the W. That is W. Okay, so now you know the first letter. The second letter denotes what it runs on, and it's propulsion. So what I mean by propulsion is that, like, locomotives run on multiple sources of fuel. Like, some run on electricity, some run on diesel, some run on both, some run on blah blah blah. You get it. The motive means how it propels. So the next letter denotes that. And now if you see a D, it means it runs on diesel. If you see A, it means it runs on alternating current. If you see a C, it means it runs on direct current. Now DC current or direct current is now getting phased out, but older trains used to use direct current only, like 1900s and early 2000s. Majority of track lines were on direct current, the electric trains. Slowly it is getting phased out, but in some high sections, hilly sections, there are some sections where direct current is still there. And to solve that problem, because most of the trains are now alternating current, that is A, there are some trains that run on both, that is direct current and alternating current, that is CA. Those trains run on both. Those are dual trains. And then there's B, that is they run on battery. And then there is a rare type, that is DA, that is diesel and electric. Diesel and alternating. It means it runs on both. It's not very common, but it is a good source. It's best of both worlds. Like, in some sections where there's no tracks, then diesel is there, and in sections where there are tracks, then you can use electricity. So that is the second word. So the first word was the track size and what track it runs on. The second is what it moves, the locomotive, and that is the motive power. That on the third letter is what tells us what the locomotive does. And what I mean by what it does is that what job is it assigned to? Is it a passenger locomotive? Is it a goods locomotive? Is it a mixed locomotive? It does both. Is it a shunting locomotive? Is it a rail car? Is it a multiple unit? That is U, multiple unit. And U is EMUs, that are local trains. Those are multiple units. See, and that is the final use. That is the final lettering of the name. So if it's a good train, it will have a G on it. If it's a passenger locomotive, means it's designed for hauling passenger coaches, then it'll have a P. And if it can do both of them, then it'll have an M on it. And if it's used for shunting, that means moving bringing the coaches from the dockyard or the dockyards where they're stored to the station, then that's a shunting, or moving around the coaches and etc. That is what the S or the shunting unit is used for. And now the final word or number, what it does is that if there's a single number, then it means that it denotes a generation of the locomotive. That means 1, 2, 3. Now, for example, let's say WDG1, WDG2 is its successor, WDG3 is its successor. So that is what number does. Now, if the number has a letter alongside it, that means WDP3A, then that means that 3A is denoting not its generation, but its horsepower, like what its power is. For example, WDG3A or WDM3A. So 3 means 3000 horsepower and A means 100. If it was B, then it was 200. If it's C, then it's 300, and so on and on and on and on. That's how you get it. Every letter, the first letter denotes 100 horsepower, the second letter B denotes 200, and on and on. That is how it is. Now, this is all you need to know about the locomotives. It is very simple. The first letter denotes a track, the second denotes its power, the third denotes its use, and the fourth number is generation or its horsepower. Now, for better understanding whatever I've just said right now, I'm going to do what I did was I pulled up some pictures of some locomotives right now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you what these locomotives are to get a better understanding. So this is the WAP4, okay? So W for wide gauge, A for alternating current, it runs on alternating current, P for passenger, it's hauling passenger coaches right now. So P, W for wide gauge, A for alternating current, P for passenger goods, it's hauling passenger coaches, so that's why it's a P. And 4 means it's the fourth generation of this locomotive. First, second, third, and this is the fourth generation. After this, you have 5, 6, 7. There's a lot of them. Okay, so this is the first example. Now, the second example is this. There's a green train. It is what is this train? It's written WAG9. So W means it runs on the wide gauge. Okay, A means it's running on alternating current. Simple. And G means it's a goods train. It is hauling goods coaches. It's hauling like everything from goods related stuff. That's what it's hauling. That is G. And 9 is the 9th generation of the WAG type. W means wide gauge, A means alternating current, G means goods train, and 9 means the 9th generation. Okay, now the next example we have is this. Now this is a very interesting train. So whenever we used to go to our hometown, that is Akola, so when the train that we used to most frequently use is called the Amravati Express, and now that Amravati Express is pulled majorly by this is the WCAM, WCAM, which one? WCAM 3. This is the third generation of the WCAM. Now, what is interesting about the WCAM is that it runs on both alternating current and direct current. Now, direct current is very uncommon these days because it's a very old technology, and the reason why this train is being used is because some Nashik side carts, they still have the older direct current, and so when it goes through those carts, it switches to direct current, and rest of the time it's running on alternating current. That is why we need a dual use locomotive. And also another interesting thing about this is the name W wide gauge, CA dual current, that is direct and alternating, it runs on both, and M, that is mixed. So what this train does is that it can also haul goods coaches, goods bogies, and also passenger coaches. It does both. And 3 means it's the third generation of the family. Okay, now I don't really see these anymore, and I guess they're a weird breed, but it's a very interesting coach. I guess they're low on power or something. Now, this is something that everyone must have seen when they were young or anything. Is this visible? Is it visible? I hope it's visible. If it's not visible, then fuck. That's a very bad thing. So this is the WDG-3A. So this is a diesel locomotive. It's running on wide gauge tracks as all of the rest of the trains were. D means it's a diesel. G means it's a goods locomotive. It's hauling goods. Now these days these are used for everything. These are not converted to shunting cars, so they're doing for shunting, and they can also haul passenger locomotives, like it's very common, but these were originally designed for goods. And 3A, that means it has 3,100 horsepower. 3,000, A means 100, B means 200, C means 300. So it has 3A, that means it has 3,100 horsepower. And yeah, that is all you need to know about locomotives in India. I hope you understood something. I hope you learned something. And if you did not, maybe I didn't do a good job of explaining. But I tried as much as I could. And I hope this was an informative video. Tune for more content, not related to this, but something interesting tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow.